Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing.
I'm Sherry Lawson with John Hingsbergen. You're listening to Interconnect, and our guest is Frank Merriman. He runs the Belcanto School of Singing in Dublin, Ireland, and he's here to help us free our voices, not to teach singing. We have a couple lines open, 888-877-3885. And Leo, you still with us?
Yep.
Okay, he's still there. Go ahead, Frank and Leo, in your discussion.
Okay,
Right,
Leo,
so-
you're saying?
Sounds like a meeting of Irishmen to me. Frank and Leo here.
What I was saying is this idea of freeing your voice, is this a new idea that Frank has come up with? Or was this historically how singing was initially taught, or how great singers came about, in the times of Gregorian chant and, when people were really when our kind of diatonic system of harmony and music was coming about? Is that how people used to learn? And then only in recent times have we tried to make it a physical endeavor?
Okay, first of all, singing is a natural gift. It has been around before music or musical instruments ever came onto the planet. Do you think that people didn't sing before the guitar came along?
I'm sure they did, right. But
They did. So what I'm saying is that once I'm dealing with nature. I'm not dealing with methods or techniques. I've no time for anything like that, or training. I always think these things apply to animals rather than human beings. So I'm saying to people, it doesn't matter whether it's handled. I mean, I remember an interview by Jon Vickers. He was a great Canadian singer, and they were celebrating some centenary of Handel at Covent Garden. And they were saying, you're going to sing this role, but a countertenor sung it originally. He said, a what? The guy interviewing said, a countertenor. He said, no such animal. That was his answer to that. So I'm talking about simple, straight storytelling. And whether it's an opera, whether it's a Neapolitan folk song, the Curtis wrote a song called Come Back to Sorrento. Okay, so I'll sing you a line of it in English to show you what the wonderment of the Italian language. So if I sing you, hear the music of the waters, and then I sing, Video mare quanti è bello. All I'm doing is adhering to the composer. But the Italian language is a wonderful language for opening the voice up, because the vowels in the language are so broad. And that's not to say the English language isn't a wonderful language. It is. So I'm not coming from the direction of music. I'm coming from the direction of the spoken word, the human voice. That lets everybody into the equation. That lets you, me, and people who haven't come onto the planet to date into the equation.
The other thing I want to follow up on that is then, do you find that people speak better and kind of, once they free their voice in singing, does that translate into, do they start to speak in a more natural way with, clearer tones? And is that something that, if they're related, do both kind of activities get better?
Well,
you learn the same?
Yes, I would say so. Like young men, when they're coming up, young boys are coming up to puberty, right? And the male hormone goes to the throat. They've purely had a female hormone prior to that. And when the male hormone goes, their voice, people always refer to it as the voice breaking. It doesn't. Right. It imbalances. So in Dublin, you could say to a young man, where's the Belcanto School of Singing? He'd say, you go down there, right, and you turn the corner, right? Now, obviously, you have to do something about that. So that rectifies itself, because as that person matures into an 18, 19-year-old, they become more aware of that area, and they start thinking about, well, I don't want to sound like that all the time, So right. Yes, the study of singing does change the way to speak for the better.
Okay, Leo.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, a couple lines open for you, 888-877-3885. Let's go to George, who's in Kettering. Hi, George. You're on the air with Frank.
Good morning.
Good morning, George.
It's kind of interesting that you talk about freeing the natural voice. That happens to be the title of a book by Kristen Linkletter, who teaches actors to free their voices and to develop. And I just wanted to make a comment about the Alexander method because I know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, and I'm not a singer, I could not sing the Star-Spangled Banner without a break.
Well, it's a pretty tough thing to sing anyway at the best of times.
It is.
Even if you can sing.
But after I studied Alexander, I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I think the whole idea of Alexander is that you learn to let your bodily tensions dissipate so that, in a sense, you free the natural voice. So I don't discount anything that you said because I think that's a different approach. But there probably are a lot of different approaches to achieving singing, and certainly emphasis on the story and emphasis on the emotion, concentrating on that and not thinking about techniques, particularly for beginning people, I think is a terrific idea.
Well, first of all, as long as we create a situation that causes us to tense, which if you ask a person to sing, the first thing they do is they become self-conscious and aware, and that is a natural thing that happens to everybody. But you see, I'm not in the area of method. That's what I said already on the program. I'm in the area of each individual finding their true groove for singing. It's a way. You have a way for everything. You have a way of turning on the light. You have a way of drinking your tea. You have a way of cutting the meat on your dinner plate. That's what I'm talking about. When you get into this person's method, this isn't my method that I'm putting forward today. This is nature's school, and it's a school. It's not a method. And that's why the building that I house the school in is called Belcanto House. So as far as I am concerned, it is the true and real approach to people enjoying their singing.
But aren't there people who we would call tone deaf?
Yes, there are people who say that a person is tone deaf. But what's wrong with the person is their ear needs to be trained. That's all. They have exactly the same as you and I. What's the human instrument? Breath, vocal cords, and resonators. So you have that. If you can speak, you can sing. Even people who are mute, even though they use sign language, you hear them trying to make a sound because that's the nature of the instrument, to say, to talk. So no matter which approach or which way you come at it, you have to find your own natural gift in this area, and that's what I'm about.
Well, I think I'll go take a shower.
You'll sing in the shower, won't you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know why you'll do that?
Yeah, the reverberation, the echo comes back. You can hear
That's
it.
one of the reasons. The other is when you're in the shower, it acts like an ionizer. So all the negative ions are taken out of the air, and you're in a lovely feeling. You know that feeling you get when you're in the middle of washing yourself?
Uh-huh.
Well, what I say to my students, it doesn't matter whether you want to have a career in this. If you just wanted to sing in the shower, you'd wash yourself better.
I'm going to go put that theory to the test.
Good for you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
your call, George. A couple lines open for you, 888-877-3885. John, did you want to share an email?
We have a couple of emails. One, this one just asked if Frank has heard of the Alexander technique, which we've spoken about a number of times. Just a quick response again, Frank.
I have heard of it. It's a technique, it's a method, and I would encourage people to, distance themselves from it. Okay. Just get clear of it.
And the other email is wondering if you are familiar with the American tradition of shape note music, also known as sacred harp singing.
Okay, you see, that's surrounded by music again. Once you shape something, and it's not a natural thing, it's not something that happens without help, it's bad news. You can if you shape. Like some people say, oh, your lips should be in this shape when you're singing the E or the R or the oo or the O vowels. Well, we don't think about shapes when we're talking. We just say, well, how are you today? Isn't that true?
That's very true.
Well, our emailer writes that shape note singing is the ultimate democracy. No instruments, just voices. Everyone takes turns leading the singers who sit in a square facing each other. It is absolutely an article of faith in shape note singing that everyone can and should sing.
Well, it's still shape note. And that's what would bother me. It's not just like, name a song. If I say, you know, dear face that holds so sweet a smile for me, were you not mine, how dark. I'm not thinking about the shapes of the notes, because I'm thinking of the sentiment of the words, which is what you have to go by.
Well, Frank, in the last couple of minutes of our program, how can singing help our world situation today? We like to sometimes talk about the political issues and the overall scene. We heard a story of the latest violence in Northern Ireland, and which I'm sure is very important and very meaningful to you. How can music help us in the world be better persons and overcome some of this violence and hate?
Well, singing is about love. Singing is about a very fine art. Singing is about finding the finest and best side of yourself within yourself. And this is what happens when people join up to things. Like, you're a Catholic, you're Protestant, you're this, you're that. It always blows up in people's faces. Be yourself. I always say there's a price tag on my shoulder, and on that price tag it says priceless. And other people need to get rid of the $1.99 and the $9.99 tags. They'll be the better for it. And then these politicians and these other people who incidentally don't have to go out and throw the balls. Other young people are having to go out and do that. But I distance myself from that, from the point of view that I wish it didn't exist. I know it does, but I'm saying to people, find out what you're about. If we were all interested in what we were about, nobody would have time to fight.
Well, Frank, if we want to begin your way of singing, your freeing of our voices, will we just start singing stories? Like, pick a story that we like and
That's
start
right.
singing it?
Yes, that's right. I mean, there's lots of wonderful stuff has been written, you know. Like, what's a song like The Rose about? It's about different versions of love, isn't it?
That's right.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reeds. Some say love, it is a razor. So I'm picking my words and I'm picking my sentiment and I'm saying, this is me. And I'm proud to be me. I'm delighted I'm me. And I'm saying, you too can do that. You too. Each and every one of you on this planet can do that.
Frank Merriman, all the way from Dublin, Ireland, thanks for being with us today.
It's been a real pleasure. Thanks to you and John. Bye-bye.
We invite you to join us next week when we talk the power of friendship. You can call Monday morning or email in advance to connect at WMUB.org. Today's program and each edition of Interconnect is replayed at 7 o'clock Monday evening.
And you'll find information about today's program, and we'll put some information about the Bel Canto School of Singing on our website. And we had a call from a listener this morning about Woven in Oxford. We want to make sure we put some of that information out there as well. Views and opinions expressed on the show are those of our guests and not of WMEB or our licensee, Miami University. I'm John Hingsbergen.
And I'm Sherry Lawson. Thank you for singing.